You are watching a Calyx software video tutorial. In this tutorial, we will cover adding users and user groups and assigning access rights to users, user groups, and data folders through the Point Central administration page. In order to add a new user to Point Central, you need to have access and log into the Point Central administration site. Once there, use the navigation menu on the left to select Users, Add User. Here you will enter the full name, user ID, assign a password, and depending on the user, specify whether you're giving them access to Point, mobile, or both, and enter their email address. One thing to pay special attention to is if this user will be given access to this originator or processor and/or other users' loans, the full name must match exactly how their name is set up in the Point processor and originator drop-down lists in Utilities. Otherwise, the user will not be able to access any files. Once this Add User page is filled out, click the Add User button. To add a new user group, you will select User Groups and Add User Group, much in the same way you added a new user. Here you will simply name your group and click the Add User Group button. Now that you've added users and created a user group, it's time to add users to your user group. To add a user to a user group, you will select User Groups, List User Groups from the left navigation menu. This will load a page that shows all created user groups. From here, you will click the edit link that corresponds to the group you want to add the user or users to. Click the Add Other Users button and select those being added by clicking the checkbox for that user. Click on the Add Users to Group button. The general purpose of Point Central is to assign and control what access your users have, what they can or cannot do with files or folders, if they are able to do certain things with the Utilities menu, and what access and permissions they have on the tracking and banker screens. You can assign access rights to your data folders for the entire user group that is to be working out of that folder, and also assign access rights to specific users to have more or less access in that folder. Access rights given to individual users will take preference over the group access rights if they are in a group that uses this folder. You can also just assign the users to the data folder without putting them in a group first. In order to assign access rights to a data folder for a user or user group, you'll once again use the left navigation menu. Select Data Folders, List Data Folders. You will now see a list of the available data folders in the order they appear inside of Point. This order can be changed by using the directional arrows here to rearrange the drop-down list. To assign and edit access rights, click Edit next to the folder name. This will take you to the Edit Data Folder page. Scroll to the section that pertains to the access rights you are looking to modify. Group access rights or user access rights. You also have the options to simply copy the settings or access rights from another currently set up folder, user, or user group from the populated drop-down menus. If you're assigning access rights to a user group, click the Add User Group Access Rights button. Otherwise, click the Add User Access Rights button. Here you will select the radio button for the user or group that you're managing the access rights for and proceed to select the rights you want applied. Under Loan Security, you can give access to all loans or this originator or processor and/or other users' loans. If choosing the second option, the user will only have access to loans attached or assigned to them, as well as those assigned to other users chosen from the Other Users Loans drop-down, if access is granted. You will then select if they'll be allowed to edit files or just have read-only access. The same goes for the conversation log and document storage. Depending on what you want the user to be able to do or be restricted from will determine which checkboxes are to be selected or left blank. Next is the loan management section. Once again, the boxes should be selected according to what permissions should or should not be granted. With access to the Utilities menu, the user would be able to edit or modify what appears in the company defaults for files in this folder, add or remove items from the drop-down lists, and view the audit trail as selected. The same goes for the tracking and banker screens. Here you give permissions for what can be accessed, what can be read-only, or allow for editing in the corresponding sections. It is up to you what access is selected for access rights or what is not. Once finished choosing your options, click the Update or Add User Access Rights or Update Add User Group Access Rights button. The same process for adding access rights for users and user groups can also be applied to template sets and Cardex databases. Thank you for watching this Calyx software video tutorial for using the Point Central administration page to add users and user groups and assign access rights to users, user groups, and data folders.